Got an offer to go work for an indirect competitor of my startup. Is this a dick move? I've been bootstrapping a startup with my friends. Lately, money situation hasn't been good, and I've got an offer from a well-standing SaaS company, our indirect competitor. How will my co-founders react if I took the offer? Is this a dick move? The offer is pretty huge, but I don't know what my business partners will think of it. What do you think of it? What are some legal traps I should take care of if I accept the offer? Is there a way to sell you and your co-founder as a combo deal to this bigger company, as an acqui-hire offer, or even just two positions? They are explicitly asking for my skill set. They don't want the full team. Always look out for yourself. There is no guarantee that current setup will work. You can always start a startup later. Get security and happiness. No equity increase in current startup can offset. Get a meeting. Tell them the truth. They will offer things, but stand your ground. Always do make things that make you happy and secure. Others don't care and will not come when you need monies. Joining your competitors will somehow help your business and partners. If yes, then do it, or else it is really a dick move. Except you don't trust your partners, then go ahead and join. Inform them of your resignation and move on. Who gives a fuck about principle when you are broke? A lot of people compare about principles over pure profit. I have left lots of money on the table over moral decisions and even resigned from a job over a moral objection. I'm not saying that he should turn down the offer, but let's not suggest that everyone always worships the dollar above all else. That's a personal choice. We aren't talking about someone who wants to go from a cushy job to a more cushy job. Dude is worried about paying his bills. What is this brand of shame? It's not any shame. Like I said, it's a personal choice. My family own a multi-billion-dollar business, and I still chose to become an emancipated minor at 14. It was a hard choice that cost me money at the time, but still a choice, and I made it. So others can too. There are plenty of people who value their morals that highly. But as I also said, no one needs to. Said every criminal on earth. Isn't everyone technically a criminal? That's why the Bible says Jesus came to save us and die for our sins. Whether or not you believe doesn't change the fact that we're all criminals somehow. From speeders to cheaters, to murderers and rapists, I don't think there's one person in history who never did anything wrong, except Jesus. Nobody's perfect. We should look after our own interests, though, when it comes to matters of business. Well, he could very well decline the offer on principle, only to find out a week or two later his co-founder accepted the same offer. Lol. Your ethics and morals are deeply flawed. For the love of God, please don't take the offer without telling them first. Best be transparent and honest, and tell your co-founders how you feel about it all. Their reactions might surprise you. And the rest is on you. Hey, here's my situation. Can we talk? Thought it equals likely surprisingly good outcome. Hey, I took an offer, but blah, blah, blah. Certainly bad outcome if you care about the relationships. OP should be 100% clear in his own head. Getting talked out of a decision is a high likelihood event if he doesn't. This, and only mention it to current team if you are for sure accepting new offer. Otherwise, you'd be bringing it up and not leaving, but they'd still question your loyalty. What's the problem of being talked out of a decision? Meetings like that can be emotional, especially when you have deep ties. He would most likely be talked out of it on emotion and not rationale. Solid advice because they are your friends. If you care about your relationship outside of the business relationship, this is a smart approach to take. I can tell you that if I was one of your friends as part owner of this company, I would empower you to move forward in your career. That's the good thing about owning a business, is providing a foundation for which your employees can be successful, even if that means giving them the experience to find a better gig. A strong, valid point. Also, OP, how well do you know the indirect competitor founders? Whose characteristics, trust factors, and ethics have you known longer? The new founders or the ones you are with currently? What's the position you are being offered? How do you know if these new guys you're getting into bed with just show you the greener grass, take what they want, keep you for a while, and fire you? Solid. I'm going to share my experience and lesson I learned that is an unpopular opinion based on other replies here. I co-founded a startup and had a very minor stake in it. The guys managing and handling the finance didn't do an amazing job. However, to be fair to them, they did their best. We eventually ran out of funds, and no investor was ready to invest without healthy revenues, which we didn't have. We went about 6 to 8 months without salary. This took a toll on everyone's mental health, where we would openly discuss how our mental health is deteriorating. We finally decided to look for other jobs while working weekends or giving about 1 to 2 hours daily to keep the product alive. Fast forward 4 months from the time we disbanded, I got an offer from another funded startup that was closely related to what we were doing, but not 100% same. I had to give up working on the product in order to join the new startup. The money was ridiculously high, almost 12x what I was making before we went broke. Out of loyalty to my fellow co-founders and the product, I let that job go. Continued working on the product whenever I could. Now, from our small team, the product was absolutely dependent on this one guy. Nobody had the knowledge and experience that he has, so it's safe to say it wouldn't work without him. He eventually got a job in a company working on something else, and when he did, he never worked on our product. It reached a point where he stopped replying to my messages. In his defense, maybe he wanted to detach from all the trauma the startup experience gave him. The product is now dead, and while I have got job elsewhere, I don't make anywhere close to what I was offered. The bitter truth is, at the very core, humans are selfish to a level. They will preserve their own self-interests over other things. Yes, I cannot fault others for looking out for themselves, but with that same logic, I feel if I had taken that offer, I wouldn't have faulted myself. Anyway, the experience taught me that although it's a startup where we work closely with other co-founders, it's still a professional job. Unless you're not breaking non-compete, I think you should look out for yourself. You don't owe anything to anyone. Great story. Humans are inherently selfish, and to some people, what satisfies their selfishness is helping others. To others, the sense of community. To some people, just making more money. The trick, I've come to realize, is to partner up with people whose selfishness is the same as yours. Sounds about right. We are all self-interested at our core. We just vary in how we get our dopamine, through fucking, fighting, or serving. This quote is so damn good. Selfish? Working on a startup for no wages, waiting to hit the lottery while your family is hungry and homeless is the ultimate selfish. Getting a real job and not pretending to be Mark Zuckerberg is the opposite of selfish. I will never pick some random co-founders over paying bills for my family. Thank you for posting this. While understandable, your logic seems to be something bad happened to me by the hands of someone else because I did not act quicker and more ruthlessly. Thus, I recommend you to be the one who goes first in making something bad happen to those around them, lest the same happens to you. That is, of course, flawed. Bad things happen and bad people exist. But that does not mean one should merely accept the inevitability that everyone is like this, and that one has to be like this as well. What happened to you could happen to OP, but it does not have to. What the fuck are you talking about, man? OP wants to pay his bills. This isn't some weird pontification on the philosophy of changing the world. Exactly. I'm baffled about how many people are saying this BS. This is business after all, and they probably would have done the same in my place. Having 5 founders, someone has to bail. Not wasting time on a crappy product nobody wants in order to better your life isn't being selfish. You should have taken the job. Imagine you are dating this girl for a long time, and one day, that girl breaks up with you and says, "This just isn't working," and immediately starts dating another person. Like 60 minutes after she breaks up with you, she's posting on social media that she found the man of her dreams. That feeling sucks, right? That's how your co-founders will feel if you don't tell them up front and the truth. They may hate you, but at least you told them the truth. Yes, calmly explaining to your GF that a woman with better looks is interested in you, but that you want to know what she thinks you should do, will elicit a very reasonable response. I mean, how they respond to him is entirely up to them, but at least he is telling them the truth, versus just quitting overnight and not saying why. OP could totally just say, "I'm out," not say anything more, and avoid saying any more. I mean, people do that when they switch jobs. They tell their current employer they are leaving, but won't say where they are going or why they are leaving. Totally fine if OP wants, do take this route. I don't know how long he has known them and how good friends they are. Totally agree. Women, however, do not work that way, Lamau, only joking. A business isn't a romantic relationship. If you're making a business personal, that's going to open up all kinds of problems. OP is not dating these people. He's in business with them. Do you understand that business relationships exist in an entirely different universe from personal relationships? Exactly. It's a business, and this is the land of the free and the home of the brave. This just isn't working, and immediately starts dating another person. Happened to me. I agree with your comment completely. You will torch the relationship with your co-founders to ashes. Pretty good analogy. But hey, sometimes you gotta stick it to your BF to end up with the man of your dreams. Don't expect to be friends with your ex-BF. In particular, she is dating that one guy that you know has many things in common with you, but you never been friends. There's so many options, but it really depends on how the relationship is, the prospects of your business, etc. Step 1 is telling you co-founders and having the discussion. You need to discuss it with them either way. There is no honor in going down with the ship. Do you think your business will succeed? JFC, do some soul searching. Your approach to relationships will cost you a lot more in the long run. Let him burn himself down. Dumb only learns one way. Hard. Why would I burn myself down if I'm transparent with my friends? Because people don't respond to logic. Random large company, 0% dick move. Smaller but established company, 25% dick move. Startup, 50% dick move. Startup with friends, 100% dick move. That said, you still have to consider your personal needs and best interest alongside other factors. Act with integrity. Seek advice from your family too. As a business owner and founder of multiple companies with friends, I'll say this. The most important thing you can do is tell your business partners of the situation. What matters more than if you take the job and leave the startup is that your partners are aware of what's happening. Leaving them high and dry with zero warning is the single biggest mistake anyone could ever make. You have poured blood, sweat, and tears into your startup, and even though you have another offer, that doesn't negate the efforts your co-founders put in right beside you. Now, I will say, you also absolutely have to look out for yourself. If you are currently living off breadcrumbs and this new position gives you a significant pay increase, at least 3x what you are currently making, better hours, and a better work-life balance, then obviously take the new position. But an important note, when going from a startup to an established company, you will lose 99% autonomy, and you will be 100% a wage slave. You will be going from equity partner to paid employee. There are lots of benefits with that, but a lot of drawbacks compared to being your own boss. You also have to be aware that you can be fired for any reason, assuming an at-will employment state. So if your boss doesn't like your hairstyle, the clothes you are wearing, or whatever, they can fire you. In a startup you co-own, it's absolutely not as easy to fire you. But yeah, best of luck, and make sure you talk to your other co-founders before making your choice to at least give them the heads up they deserve. This needs way more upvotes. The only identifiable person on this thread who has clearly been there before. OP has mentioned in another comment that he starts next week and hasn't told the other founders, his friends, yet. This post should be rated a lot higher. Dick move, but likely not an illegal move. Companies are not families, you have no obligation to treat them well. Sure, you can join him and you can be dicks together. The biggest dick of all is the guy who thinks OP should accept less than he's worth because of some imaginary honor agreement. Get that bag, OP. It's not about honor, but you can tell yourself it's okay to be a dick and continue to be a dick. Lamau, he started the company with friends. There should be an obligation to communicate with them openly about leaving. Good friends will understand. Serious? Yes, I am. Cash is low for us, and this is an opportunity for me to grab a lot of money for myself. I will also have to start working next week, and I still didn't inform my partners. Will they be pissed off? I don't think there's anything wrong with deciding the startup life isn't for you and moving on to another company, even a competitor. But 1 week's notice is unacceptable. For a founder, I'd expect a minimum of 4 weeks, and almost all hiring managers would accept that. If you haven't asked for more time, that's on you. You will absolutely seem like a snake if you take the offer and start the next week. It's your life and your money, but damn, it's weird that you have to ask. I still want to work on my startup, but there are many questions regarding this. You'll be fired, even if it wasn't an indirect competitor. Yeah, good riddance. Best for your partners to be rid of you. It's a startup, so cash is low for everyone, probably. I assume you know the ins and outs of the sector and can take that knowledge to prevent the people who trusted you from succeeding. Dick move. Enjoy the money, but be prepared to be hated. I'd say, don't worry about how they react. If cash flow is a problem in the startup, then maybe it's better to move on. You said indirect competitor. Odds are they won't qualify for any non-compete unless specifically named. When the only startup I worked for had cash flow problems, I bounced in 2 weeks. The situation was a bit different, as these were not close friends I was working with. I had to jump to a company that had money. Your former coworkers will be in 3 camps. Too dumb to realize you did a dick move. Wanting to join you on your dick move. Will hate you for your dick move. There is a 4th category, which is want to join you on your dick move, get rejected, and then hate you for your dick move. Well, your new employer can fire you as soon as your old company folds. If you have marketable skills, you can get a second job somewhere else. The reason why the offer is enticing is because they've identified you as a sucker. Tell them, see what they say. You will be a dick to them, 95%, but that is life. Give them a chance to see where you stand. What is an indirect competitor? Competitor is a competitor. There is no indirect competition. An indirect competitor is something you want to get into, so everything, and aren't doing. In other words, not a competitor. So you are a potential wannabe competitor to the indirect competition. I think OP should take advice from the Spice Girls. I have seen the other side of this thing, and you're going to get no points whatsoever for going down with the ship. You already went through the whole interview process, knowing you might get it, so you know you want it, so go do it. Your friends will be mad, but if they're really your friends, they'll get over it. Man's gotta eat, fish gotta swim. Nothing kills a startup faster than running out of cash. If they weren't planning to be cash flush for at least 5 years, well then that was the first mistake. These things take time, if they even work at all. OP is acting like an employee on a sinking ship, not a founder that built the boat and will go down with the ship. It gets even worse if their partners invested their life savings into this thing. And OP just overboards without communicating anything. The way I see it, OP doesn't believe their product will make it, even if they had cash, else they would talk to their team and discuss ways to improve cash flow. There's always a solution if you look hard enough. You also have to consider that this competitor's approached all of them as a means to divide them, simply to take another piece off the board, and has no intention of signing a contract with any of them. Personally, I took on some high-paying freelance gigs to help out during tight cash flow months, working my ass off at night and getting the job done. No choice. Could have just left the years of work behind to accept multiple other offers, but riding it out. We also have some early adopter clients on our software, which covers some things. You do this as a team, help each other out. But then again, I believe in my team, partners and product, and it will eventually go the distance. I'm making huge sacrifices that might never pay off. But such is the startup life. It's not for everyone, and that's okay. Just communicate that to the people that invested and rely on you so they don't get blindsided. Right? The startup may very well crash and burn. Op is already alluding to problems there. Gotta count the costs, benefits. This new job sounds very lucrative. Is ditching your friends gonna ruin future prospects? OP has mentioned in another comment that they gotta start next week and still hasn't told the other founders. I'm gonna say it's a dick move for that reason, and his friends would be better off without him. Maybe, I just can't say. There's a whole lot of missing puzzle pieces. Could be that this thing is circling the drain, and they are taking advantage of the friendship by getting their friend with marketable skills to work for free so they can be a startup CEO while they interview for PM gigs. I'm not saying one way or the other, just that I can't say without knowing a lot more than I do. One thing I do know is that it's hard to pull the Band-Aid off, even when it's obvious this thing isn't going to work, and that keeps you from moving forward with something else. Your co-founders will definitely not like it. Depending on what you told your investors and whether there's any non-compete language in your legal startup docs, you can probably take the offer. I would expect the other co-founders to want you to forfeit your shares, or at least some percentage of them, since you are not just leaving the fold, but joining a competitor. It's going to be a wild ride. Even if you ask your co-founders, the fact that you would consider it will forever be remembered by them, and their trust in you will be provisional. We only have one angel investor on board. That's it. How big are they versus you? We are pre-revenue. They number more than 1,000 employees in the entire company. Then looks like it's not a dick move. At least the other side is not a startup. Take it. Use the newfound job to dig all trade secrets and use the salary to keep the startup afloat. New age espionage. Ultimately, you are responsible for your own survival. Take the job, but inform your current co-founders before accepting the offer. Else, they will feel backstabbed. If you love your current startup, then infuse salary from the new job into your startup. It will be considered as a director loan, and you can take it back from the company if it profits later. If you want a total exit, then get your name removed from directorship and get a clearance certificate from CA/NOC from all confounders, along with your other exit documents. Liquidate your stake. Also, killing the other founders' chance at the startup, since they will now not trust each other, and if any potential funders got wind of this, they'd never raise another dollar. 90% of startups fail anyway. If he's having this conversation, then they're almost definitely in the 90% already. To the OP, do it, brother. Full transparency here. I'm 32 right now. Back in 2016, few years after I got my degree, I started in a commercial role in a then startup that later became the biggest player on the market. But in 2018, I got poached by a direct competitor offering me, listen, double my then salary, crazy good benefits, work car that I could use personally as well. I got to meet the CEO of the company, large billion-dollar French company. My stupid ass fucking went through the process, got the offer, and fucking declined. I thought, hey, I'm loyal. I immediately took a meeting with my commercial director and CEO of my company to tell them. They fucking thanked me because they now knew the competitor is poaching people. In a few months, I got a salary increase in the amount of 15%. In 2020, in January, I got laid off. You owe absolutely nothing to nobody. Look out for yourself. Literally, your career could be on the line. I am now making what then they offered me. It took me 6 years to get to income I got offered in 2018, and I decided to be loyal. Don't make my mistake. Thank you for the kind words. It is a pretty dick move. Not only that, but it makes me question your ethics and the ethics of the other company. I guess you are made for each other. I'm not religious or superstitious in any way, but karma is a bitch. That said, you should look at your employment contract. If there is a no-compete, it could bite you in the ass. Divulge conflicts of interest up front, but as vaguely as possible, and see if it is a deal breaker for them. You may have to quit. The new company might be trying to hire you to break up the team, too. If it works, they will can you as soon as it is apparent your company has tanked. Take the money and run. So not talk about one company to the other unless you talk up the valuation of your startup. If the bigger company tries to buy you out to get rid of competition, make them pay dearly. Then learn from your mistakes, start with a clean slate, and offer a different service bundle than the competition that includes a discount club across a broad spectrum of services. You're good to go, given you are happy never seeing these friends again. You must have applied, or why else would they offer you a job? It's pretty fucking simple. Hey guys, I got a big job offer, and I am going to take it because I value my well-being and the well-being of my family more than this startup. Done. If they hate you for it, then they need to face reality, which is about survival and not good wishes. They are using you to fuck your partners because they've identified you as the most likely one to fuck your partners. It is not a dick move. It is a survival of the fittest move. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Did you sign a non-compete? Go for it. Thanks, I will do it. is not okay. They may want to hire you to kill the competition, not because they will value you as an employee. You don't have to tell anyone. Just look and see if you signed an NDA or any non-compete. If you co-founded a company with friends, they don't deserve to be blindsided. It isn't Survivor. You shouldn't feel bad for having your best interests in mind either. Taking a considerate approach and discussing is a good solution and avoids sowing seeds of resentment. Definitely not a dick move. I would say get a job in another space not related to your startup. Your skill set is obviously valuable. There are plenty of other companies to consider. I would be offended by the competitor for giving you an offer in the first place. Well, what makes my skill set valuable is the network I bring with myself. If I'd go to a different space, I'd be paid much less. If you're really struggling money-wise, take it, and you can use this a chance to get some intel to reverse engineer for your startup. Lol. Nope. Do what's best for yourself. Thanks, we'll do this. Slither's gonna slith. The other co-founders deserve someone that won't bail. If the OP bails, it's a blessing for the company he is leaving. And if the company fails without the OP, then that means they weren't good enough anyway. So the OP should leave and make bank at the new company. Thanks. Yes, you're right. Make a bank all the way. Take the offer. Bootstrapping is hardly keeping any of your friends on the hook for the success of your startup. Anyone can walk, get burned out, and you're going to be wishing you took the offer. Thanks. I feel like this as well. I'm the minority stake owner as well, less than 10% working on sales, and I see developers already cracking. It's my time to find something else. I'm going to share my experience and lesson I learned that is an unpopular opinion based on other replies here. I co-founded a startup and had a very minor stake in it. The guys managing and handling the finance didn't do an amazing job. However, to be fair to them, they did their best. We eventually ran out of funds and no investor was ready to invest without healthy revenues, which we didn't have. We went about 6 to 8 months without salary. This took a toll on everyone's mental health, where we would openly discuss how our mental health is deteriorating. We finally decided to look for other jobs while working weekends or giving about 1 to 2 hours daily to keep the product alive. Fast forward 4 months from the time we disbanded, I got an offer from another funded startup that was closely related to what we were doing, but not 100% same. I had to give up working on the product in order to join the new startup. The money was ridiculously high, almost 12x what I was making before we went broke. Out of loyalty to my fellow co-founders and the product, I let that job go, continued working on the product whenever I could. Now from our small team, the product was absolutely dependent on this one guy. Nobody had the knowledge and experience that he has, so it's safe to say it wouldn't work without him. He eventually got a job in a company working on something else, and when he did, he never worked on our product. It reached a point where he stopped replying to my messages. In his defense, maybe he wanted to detach from all the trauma the startup experience gave him. The product is now dead, and while I have got job elsewhere, I don't make anywhere close to what I was offered. The bitter truth is, at the very core, humans are selfish to a level. They will preserve their own self-interests over other things. Yes, I cannot fault others for looking out for themselves, but with that same logic, I feel if I had taken that offer, I wouldn't have faulted myself. Anyway, the experience taught me that although it's a startup where we work closely with other co-founders, it's still a professional job. Unless you're not breaking non-compete, I think you should look out for yourself. You don't owe anything to anyone. Simple thought experiment. What if you turned down the job out of loyalty, and then a week later one of your co-founders tells you about how they are jumping ship because they got a pretty huge offer from a well-standing SaaS company, in case it isn't clear yet, your indirect competitor? How's that feel? Take the job. Take the real job, because what you have right now is a fake job. But be nice to the people at the fake job when you talk to them about it. Yeah, for them, it's a real job, same as for me. Innovations in our industry like this are rare. I said it in a dish way, but my point is you're not getting paid and there's no money, so it's volunteer work for right now. If volunteer work isn't something you can sustain based on savings, etc., take the money. Don't give a shit what they think. This is a huge opportunity in your life, and you should take it. Take the offer and sabotage them. Why would this sabotage them? Before making a decision, have an open and honest conversation with your co-founders about the offer and its implications for the startup. In terms of legalities, consider consulting with Scattermind, an ADHD coach specializing in helping entrepreneurs navigate challenges. They help my friends successfully launch their first business, and they could offer valuable insights on legal traps to avoid and how to handle the transition professionally. Weigh the pros and cons carefully and make the decision that aligns best with your personal and professional goals. If your co-founders haven't made you sign a non-compete, they pretty much deserve what's coming to them. It's going to be a learning experience, but you're still a massive dick. But hey, people have expenses. We have a verbal agreement, shook hands on the vesting agreement we have. However, none of it is signed, so it's all void. Only thing they could say is, we agreed on it, and that's it. Verbal agreements can still be binding. They are just harder to prove. But since you're posting about it on the internet, maybe your partners will be able to prove it a lot easier. You seem like a complete moron, Tibahash. I screenshotted the entire thing. If anyone needs evidence, just send me a personal message. Well, in that case, totally a dick. And your co-founders deserve better friends, and they'll probs honestly be better off without you on the team. Work for them under the condition that you can keep working at your startup as long as you don't steal any proprietary knowledge. Then steal as much knowledge as you can before they let you go one day. They will be happy for you and wish you well on your new adventure. Depending on how you look at it, you can use it as an opportunity to find out what the competitor has better and improve your product. Exactly what I'm thinking. Well, stop thinking that. That is an incredibly stupid idea. If you are unethical about this, that is who you will become known as, and this will affect people wanting to do business with you. Pick a lane and be transparent about whichever one you pick. You need to fucking eat. And apparently they are incompetent. This is why people shouldn't be founding companies when they are low on cash. It's tempting, but it won't help you in the long run. That's a psychopathic, narcissistic move. Do you have no ethics or morals? Maybe they will be the next Apple without you. At least you aren't going to a direct competitor. Gotta think about the probabilities. There is only one Apple. Maybe a couple more companies that blew up just as huge. The chances that this startup is another Apple is effectively zero. The chances that Op will make a lot of money with this new company are pretty high. If you really care about your startup and proud of what you achieved, I believe you can do more to reach more than what your competitors are offering despite your current situation. Never give up. If isn't working now, it will make. If you really want, just do it, dude. Don't move the dick ticket. Do what's best for yourself and your family. Simple as that. Still important to keep consequences in mind. Can't usually rebuild burnt bridges. Thanks, I'm aware of this. I want them the best of luck. I just need out. Are you planning to leave your startup to go work for the competitor or work both at the same time? If it's the former, this happens all the time in the regular business world. Your friends might not be happy with you, but you gotta do what you gotta do to provide for yourself and your family. Didn't you sign any non-compete clauses? You can work at that company and be as agent for your startup. Maybe it will be helpful, not make mistakes as competitor company, or get access to hidden statistics. The relationship with your co-founders has been addressed. Regarding legal traps, you mentioned that the company you accepted an offer from is an indirect competitor, implying that there is overlap between the business market that your startup operates in and that of the other business. Most companies these days have a clause in their employee handbooks or employment contracts that they own any IP you produce while working for that company, even if you produce that IP while on your own time using your own equipment. Sometimes you can successfully argue that IP you produce in unrelated/non-competitive fields does not belong to the company, but very rarely will you be able to successfully argue that IP related to the company's business market is your own. Be aware that if you continue to work on your startup, you could be liable to the other founders and any investors of that startup for injuring their IP. Similarly, the other company could claim they own your IP or claim injury to their IP, and chances are the larger company has the resources to follow through with this legal claim. Immediate sequela medide. Trojan horse, maybe? Be transparent based on the situation you consider. If you don't tell the scenario and your situation asking other PPL is waste, pretty much you know it already. It's your sure way to career annihilation. Lol. Given that your business partners are your friends, I think you should stay, but it's totally on you. Like if your startup is kind of not getting it, you should take the offer. It's a dick move if you have signed a contract saying you will definitely stay for a certain period of time and you are being handsomely compensated above and beyond regular pay for that. Given that you're saying the money hasn't been good, that doesn't seem to be the situation in your case. Otherwise, a career move is a career move. Don't make it personal and don't let anyone else try to make it personal. Everyone gave it a try, no one made any promises, and it doesn't look like it's working out. If they want to keep going, they can find a replacement from the 8 billion people on the planet. It's not as if there's no one else available. Sure, some of them might have different ideas in their heads of how long you should, according to them and them only, have stuck it out. But if they thought that, they could have said something sooner. As it stands, there were no expectations outside their own minds. Potential sonachod kikisignicha majduri kenimajao. You probably know your company and its fate as well as anyone. You have to take care of you. You can do this while being fair. Sign over, sell your equity. Don't take customer lists. Don't take dev work. Be as transparent as possible. Take the pretty huge offer. In some cases, it can even be illegal. Discuss with your partner. No problem too big that it can't be solved with discussing. Maybe you both come up the solution that you take up that job, find insights and secrets, and use them to grow your startup silently. You should check your employment contract. I have recently seen contracts that required key employees, directors, to notify the board, even if they are attending an interview. Clauses such as the following: duty to notify of new employment, law of www.lawinsider.com, laws/clause, duty to notify of new employment. I am not a lawyer. It sucks to have to leave your startup. You know what sucks even harder? Being broke, being constantly stressed and struggling, and having to say no to having any fun and going out or going on vacation. Not being able to pay for kids, house, spouse if you have them. There's a dirty little secret about startups. It is a lot easier to be a founder once you got a few million in the bank. Even though my company is worth $20 to $30 million now, no way I would have been able to grow it to that point without financial independence beforehand, because I couldn't have gone without a paycheck for a few years. You do what's best for you. It's a rat-eat-rat world. Make sure you eat. Discuss openly with partners, then consider legal counsel. Did you even discuss finance with your co-founders, how money starts to become an issue and what solutions there are? I guess it's a dick move, but what the fuck you going to do broke? Obviously the company you keep isn't working out though. You do what's best for yourself. But remember these friends you might be burning bridges with. If you don't give up equity, then yes. To soften the blow, you could tell them you're available part-time after your 2 weeks' notice for a contract rate. Talk to them and tell them your situation. You'll see if they are really your friends by what they think is the best thing to do. Careful about insider information. Could be seen as corporate espionage, which is a felony. First, if you are critical to the startup, then you are making a decision for the startup as a whole, not just for yourself, so discuss it as you would anything else. Second, are you prepared for the startup to be a success without you and not getting any of your investment or potential earnings from it? They will not let you keep any part of the business if you leave. I had a startup with a few co-founders, and over the course of 2 years, several of us got job offers from both unrelated and competing companies. Each time, we took the initial meetings alone, without communication with the others, until we understood the full offer package, etc. Then we called a meeting with the team. It often hinged on personal need versus belief in the startup, and in many cases, it started conversation about how to move faster/better in such a way that we could improve the belief and commitment of each of us. Overall, I'd say it was actually a healthy motivating force because we trusted each other. This set the tone across the team. And one day, when our CEO, effectively, was given an incredible offer that rivaled that of a successful owner, he returned the favor by insisting that our team come along. The collective loyalty that he started early on, by being transparent with his goals and generous with equity, resulted in every member having had the chance to discuss the company's future and the benefits of an acqui-hire and how we could help each other extract the most from it. That was over 3 years ago, and we are still going strong. I'm now working on 2 more startups, and I would consider nearly anyone on that original team as a co-founder in the future. Do not underestimate loyalty and transparency, but know that not everyone deserves or earns it. I've added this anecdotal sample of one to help offset everyone here who claims everyone is out for themselves. That may be true for many, but there is much to be earned and won, and little to be lost by being honest and loyal. If you tell your founders what you are thinking, they may get mad, but they still would if you don't tell them. The only time it makes sense to be secret about it with the core team is when the team has a strong chance of compromising the opportunity itself. If that isn't the case, prioritize communication and emphasize a group-derived solution. Even if the conversation exposes issues, they are likely things you needed to discuss anyway before the startup could truly grow and succeed. You have a choice here. You could be loyal or you can be a realist. How you decide will determine if you lean moral or if you lean selfish. No one can tell you what's best for you. It all depends on the company, but in most cases the offer is validated before providing a counter-offer. It is same as when you switch a job, they ask for document having the current CTC. So to be on safer and confident side, never ever provide wrong data to recruiter, else you would be on the loser side. Thanks. Sorry bro, I had to take a job that pays. For sure should talk to your other co-founders first and see what they say. Second, and a bigger question, why can't you get some sales rolling or something to solve the cash issue? Or investor if that is possible. No, discuss openly with co-founders. Consider potential legal implications. Of course it is a dick move and you know it. Why? Every man for themselves, no? No, you know exactly how your partners will think of it. Imagine your partner announcing he accepted an offer before you had a chance to announce. And by the way, the offer he accepted was from the same place, and they have revoked their offer. You know how you'd feel. And I think you know what you'd do. Protect trade secrets, etc. Is it a dick move? You know the answer already. Why you don't do business with friends? Are you an owner of this startup? If so, normally there would be an operating agreement that would cover things like this, i.e. conflict of interest, non-compete, not a legal owner. They will give me the equity later. We have a vesting agreement. Discuss openly with your partners, then decide. Are you being incentivized in indirect ways or will be in the future W startup? If firing you would result in the personal enrichment of your supervisor by $2 million, they probably would do so. If you feel they would, go for it. If not, don't. Don't listen to these bozos. Don't let anything personal play any role in your professional decisions. I think a lot of people are going into semantics on things like morality. I would simply say that, in my opinion, and for me, business and personal relationships are completely separate, even with the same person. I could despise someone in a business sense, acknowledge that I would never work with them again because they're grossly incompetent, and still wish the best for them and/or get a drink together. I think that clear division is something that's necessary for most to be able to function long-term with any degree of stability, albeit again one man's opinion. I think there's also a distinction to be made. Are you friends with these people or are you friendly with them? If the relationship is primarily confined to work and you have something akin to that separation, here's what I would probably recommend. First, read over every document you signed that would have any associated record, whether local, internal, or that would have been filed with your state. Assuming you clearly understand any implications you've agreed to and clearly have the ability to exit, I think it's best to do what's objectively beneficial for you, your family, and/or your livelihood. It also matters what organizational structure you have and location. As directors of Delaware-based corporations have certain duties that we're bound to, regardless of contents of shareholder agreements, bylaws, or otherwise, unless explicitly deemed or written otherwise. If there's any part that you're seriously concerned about, consult with an attorney. If it's Delaware-based, there's likely a wide area of precedent with the Chancery Court. A lot of the rest is pending specifics, including paperwork, shares held, albeit this isn't relative to director obligation, and a number of other things. Also, I wouldn't concern yourself with being a dick. I would be respectful but stern if you're confident in your decision. Even if there are non-compete clauses, judicial enforceability of them can be variable at times. That would be something to discuss with an attorney, not to be substituted with a mentor, coach, etc., unless the person has applicable qualifications and licensure. I also think, again, depending on other factors like locale, one of the worst things you can do is get yourself pulled into a long conversation with the people about it. That may put you in a worse position. I would convey everything in writing, and if you need to meet for any reason, stick to what's been relayed so far, and consult the prior counsel for any other decisions after the fact. A lot of it depends on how you feel about the team and company, in a sense of professional confidence, because if you don't believe them it to be capable of seriously progressing, then why stay at all? Towards the first point, if you're friends first, I would imagine you'll likely still continue to be friends after the fact, or you won't. But it's also somewhat naive to think that if you stay, pressure from other sources won't be able to stress that to the same effect. And after you become post-revenue cash flow positive, things get more serious, and the idea of litigation becomes much more prevalent. Also, if you've secured a high valuation. Edit, while mutual respect would dictate informing them of everything and potentially helping to ease the transition cautiously, it's also important to note that, to my knowledge, you're generally entitled to withdraw or resign for any appointed director or officer positions, as well as forfeit shares holding or sell them back to the entity if you so choose. Whether that affects the company's standing, insofar as the act of leaving in and of itself, is largely irrelevant, as non-legal opinion, I can't see someone reasonably asserting standing for litigation and being granted it solely on the basis of you leaving the entity. I would still be mindful of any confidentiality agreements or NDAs you might have signed, though. If it's relevant, you should theoretically still have separation of liability intact, so long as you weren't intermingling personal and what if they hire then fire you to ruin relations on both sides? Tell your co-founder for sure and be 100% transparent. Review any contracts, agreements, or non-compete clauses you may have with your startup. Ensure you are not violating any terms by accepting the offer. At the end of the day, do what is right for you. Starting a startup is hard. Making it successful is even harder. Look, they won't like it and won't want to be involved with you in a business sense. Depending on their personalities, they might still be happy to be friends. If it's what you need, then do it, and maybe mention it before blindsiding them, though it will be a shock, undoubtedly. Obligatory. How you communicate determines how you will be perceived. With that out of the way, absolutely in no way, shape, or form would this categorically be a dick move. You have developed significant skills in this domain, so naturally you're most marketable to companies who work in this domain. The voice in your head saying otherwise is internalized BS that serves employers at the expense of workers. You should absolutely proceed gracefully and prioritize supporting your transition out so as not to burn bridges. If the potential new employer is really motivated by what they say they're motivated by, and not just worried that you'll become a direct competitor, they'll wait until an agreed-upon start date with goodwill check-ins and support leading up to it. Do you respect your business partners? Do you care about their opinion or what they will think of you after? Do you care if they want nothing to do with you afterwards? If you do care and do respect them, have you considered discussing this with them? Obviously, it would be a tough conversation and likely some hurt feelings, but it may help you get a better handle on what you think is the right decision. It's definitely a conflict of interest that could lead to being sued. Game is game.